What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So yesterday we did have the big Nintendo Indie World presentation that showed off a ton of games, and many of them even released onto the eShop right away, including one highly anticipated title, and we're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Halo Infinite, because while Microsoft keeps saying holiday 2021 is when we can expect it, there are a lot of people who are wondering if it will fall into 2022. But a new listing has appeared online that is pretty much showing, yes, it is going to be coming out here in the next couple of months. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. We had talked previously that Beat from Jet Set Radio was going to be a guest character in the game, and it looks like there are a couple of other guest characters that have been announced. In fact, you can see the trailer here. That's right. We have Sonic and Tails as guest characters for Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. In fact, in the description, they say roll through every level with your favorite iconic duo, free and unlockable through regular gameplay at launch. They have to stop doing that. It's going to be free and unlockable by playing the game. We'll have to double check that one, but this is cool. I like the idea of guest characters, and it appears that just kind of part of the marketing ramp up here for the game, which is coming out October 5th, is to just unveil different guest characters. And now I'm wondering, who else can Sega bring in from some of their other franchises? It's a fun idea because they're just characters you pick and you kind of roll through Super Monkey Ball levels that way. But still, it's fun to be able to pick your favorite character from any of these different Sega franchises. Also, I have some good news and I have some bad news. Let's start with the good news, as it looks like we will have a new Shining Force game. Now let's go to the bad news. It appears it's going to be going to cell phones. We can see this over on VGC, where they say a Shining Force mobile game is coming in 2022. Heroes of Light and Darkness will be the first Shining Force game in 13 years. It's tentatively titled Shining Force Heroes of Light and Darkness. The game is being developed by Hive, the Japanese arm of South Korean game publisher Vespa. The game is based on the series' unique worldview and storyline and the fun of cultivating unique and attractive characters, and is currently under development with the aim of bringing the strategic fun of simulation RPG to mobile devices. Yeah, I know, it's one of those disappointing things where you're like, oh, great, a new Shining Force game, and then you see, oh, it's only on cell phones. It's the same kind of effect we had with the Final Fantasy, like the classic remasters that were done, the Pixel remasters. Yeah, at least that was on PC. This is just, right now, I think just on cell phones. It's going to be a little while. They said probably late 2022. Now, just because it's on cell phones doesn't mean it couldn't go to other platforms. However, if it incorporates a lot of gacha mechanics or things like that we see with some of these cell phone games, that's probably where it's going to stay. I like the idea of a new Shining Force game. It's just a shame that after 13 years, it appears like it's just going to be developed for the cell phones. Oh, and we do know that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be getting another next-gen version this holiday. Remember, they went from the 360 and the PS3 to the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now they're going to make another generational. This game's going to be going across 3 different generations. But if we look over on PlayStation Blog, they do talk about one of the big features being a graphical update as well as 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. And look, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still a good-looking game. There's a lot of attention to detail in it. It's just we've had the game for so long now, and I think a lot of us are just ready for Grand Theft Auto 6. But if you are someone who has still not played this game, which I have a hard time fathoming, considering we're, what, over 150 million copies, although I did run that poll and there were a lot of people who said that they had not played this game yet. There you go. It's probably going to be the best looking version of the game that we have for consoles to date, and looking for that one in November. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo's Indie World presentation that they had yesterday. It's about 20 minutes long, and I thought it was pretty good. There were a lot of different games in this presentation, a little bit of something for everyone, and I do like the shadow drops that they'll have in these presentations, and there are actually quite a few here. So let's start from the top. We'll go through them, and I'll stop and talk about some of the games as we go, starting here with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Now, this is a game that we had already known about. In fact, I remember it being on Steam a couple of months ago, and I think we even talked about it before that, but I mean, you can see it here. Yeah, it looks like a Jet Set Radio spiritual successor. It's coming in 2022 to the Nintendo Switch. I believe it's timed exclusive on the Switch. It's going to be on other platforms as well. Like I said, it is currently listed on Steam now, and from what I've seen, this This looks pretty good. Again, I have to play it and all of this, but it looks like a bunch of people who really enjoyed Jet Set Radio growing up, and they want another version of it, and here we are now with Bomb Rush. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about this and eventually picking it up in 2022. Then we had Loop Hero, that is coming later in 2021. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, that's coming to the Switch this winter. Tetris Effect Connected, that will have crossplay enabled, which Tetris Effect is awesome. This is a game that I think plays really well on something like an OLED TV, as it does have some really cool effect, and the music is awesome there too. That's coming October 8th. Then we have Tome. That's they describe it as a photo adventure game. The visuals are kind of interesting there, coming this fall. Metal Slug Tactics, that's 2022, and I gotta say, every time I've seen Metal Slug Tactics so far, it looks better and better. In fact, this trailer seemed to win over RGT. Originally on the podcast that we had before where we talked about this game when it was first shown, he did not seem sold on it, and all of a sudden he is. I don't know, the idea of mixing Metal Slug with the kind of the strategy RPG, I think is a cool direction for the series, so we'll look towards that in 2022. Eastward, that's coming September 16th, and this was an RPG that was announced, I believe, 2 years ago now in another Nintendo event, and this is one that people have been waiting to find out more about. Cool to see that we're going to have it here in about 2 months now. And then they talked about Astroneer, that's January 2022. 100 Days this winter. Gang Beast, that's also this winter. Lumberjack, this 2022. Far Changing Tides, that's also 2022. And then we had a bunch of games that just immediately shadow dropped onto the eShop, including Boyfriend Dungeon, Necro Barista, Garden Story, Islanders, Slime Rancher, Curious Expedition 2, and the big one, Axiom Verge 2. That was the one that was the most exciting to me because we've been waiting to hear more about Axiom Verge 2 after its delay and all of this. Then we saw the update pop up online for Nintendo's eShop where they have like their servers and you can kind of see some of the updates that happen, and we knew something was going on there. I figured we were just going to get a release date later on for the year, and then they were like, nope, you can go download it right now. And I did. I immediately went, grabbed it, and I started playing it about an hour or so in now, and it's looking pretty good. I like the visuals, like the settings so far, and it's Axiom Verge, so having a blast, and I'm sure I'll talk about it more on the podcast this weekend. We even have a physical copy that Limited Run Games announced over on Twitter for Axiom Verge 2, or you can get a double pack with Axiom Verge 1 and 2. So I guess go over to their website and check it out to see more information on that one. But looking up and down the list here for this indie world, it moved along very quickly. There were a lot of games to check out, some interesting ideas packed in here. Like I said, a lot of these indie presentations come up with some pretty out there ideas, but a lot of times we'll see some pretty cool ones in there. And we had a lot of shadow drops, which are always exciting. The fact that you'll have a game shown to you and then they're like, oh, go ahead and download it. You can pick it up right now. It's great to have that, so you don't have to wait months after seeing it, getting really hyped up. You can just go to the eShop and buy it. But I liked what I saw here. I thought it was a very quick 20 minutes, a lot of stuff to look forward to, and a lot of stuff to pick up now. Certainly, go check out Axiom Verge 2. Next up, let's talk about Halo Infinite. As I mentioned before, there are still people who are wondering if this is really going to come out in 2021. I mean, we're in August now, and Microsoft still has not given us a date, whereas they did give us a date in November for Forza Horizon 5. But it looks like we're on track for this game to come out this year because it's been rated. You can see the rating here. In fact, we have 2 different ratings because we have a multiplayer and we have a campaign. Remember, that was another theory. Oh, maybe they'll release the multiplayer and then maybe next year they'll have the campaign ready to go. No, the campaign has also been rated. Check it out here. This was over on the Australian ratings board here for classifications. Halo Infinite, that's the campaign. Categories computer games, and then we have that classification date, August 11th. It has an M rating, but something I've noticed about these M ratings on the Australian classification boards is it can either be teen rated or M rated, because Halo 5, that is a teen rated game, and it got this same kind of M, this blue M rating on the Australian classification board. Same with the multiplayer for Halo Infinite, also got that same M, and they have different, like, they have different spots here for, like, themes being mild impact, violence being moderate impact, language, and all of that. So I do wonder if this possibly could end up being a teen-rated game. Like I said, it sounds weird, I'm sure, but remember, Halo 5 was teen-rated, and I mean, that's generally what I'm sure a lot of these bigger companies would like to have, so you don't have to worry about that M rating that could potentially have your game be sold to less people, because in certain stores like Walmart's or Best Buy's, they do ask for your ID when you try to buy a mature-rated game, whereas with a teen rating, you don't have to really worry about that. But either way, this is great news. The fact that it now has been rated tells me we're probably going to hear about it going gold here soon, and we should be hearing about the release date. Like I said, we're in August now, and if this game isn't coming out until November, they would probably get the release date announced here, I would say either by the end of this month or like in the first week or two of September, unless they're trying to push it out at the end of September, in which case, hey, look for the release date anytime now. Most of it, I think, had to do with them trying to figure out when Call of Duty was coming out alongside of Battlefield, and there's word that we're going to hear about Call of Duty's release date like next week, and more information there for, I believe, called Call of Duty Vanguard. That's just kind of what Microsoft's trying to navigate now with all of this. And then they also have Forza Horizon 5 to think about. And where can they fit Halo? Well, the rumor, or at least the words going around right now, is legitimately right at the end of November, like just getting it in for 2021. But awesome to see the classification here. Tells me we are working towards that 2021 release for Halo Infinite. Next up, let's talk about Stalker 2, because this was a game that was shown at Microsoft's E3 presentation. And I feel like a lot of people came away from that trailer thinking, wow, that's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Yeah, I know it's a first-person shooter and all this, and typically we've seen those games, especially on like the Series X or the PS5, try to push the visual style as we're seeing with things like Battlefield, but like Stalker 2, I don't know, it looked like it was legitimately next gen. Well, it looks like they are actually using Unreal Engine 5, and they revealed this yesterday on Twitter. We can see this here. This from the Stalker official account saying, hey, Unreal Engine, feel free to mention we're running on Unreal Engine 5. And it appeared that Unreal Engine replied back that they thought it was a secret, but sure, it's on Unreal Engine 5, and we've been hearing about different studios kind of moving to Unreal Engine 5 for development. I know the Coalition mentioned they were moving to the new Unreal Engine, and they're going to use that, I guess, for the next Gears of War, whatever their next project is. We heard that Fortnite was going to be making the move up to Unreal Engine 5, and now here we are with a game coming out right at the end of April next year that will be using the new Unreal Engine. And that's exciting stuff because we can see some of the new features in action right on our TV when we're actually playing through the game rather than through compression or just presentations they show to just kind of show off the different lighting and things that they've included in. Like we saw that presentation, kind of that tech demo where we had the character kind of flying through a scenery and all of this, and that was pretty cool. It ran on the PS5 just fine, so exciting stuff here to see a game coming up in the next several months where we'll finally have, I guess, Unreal Engine 5 right in front of us, and I'm sure Stalker 2 is going to look really good using that engine, so exciting stuff there. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about WWF No Mercy. This is a very popular wrestling game even now. I mean, back then in like 2000, 2001 on the Nintendo 64, that's what everyone would play. You'd get 4 controllers together on one Nintendo 64 on a TV and just play that game all night. It was a ton of fun. But the visuals, yeah, they've kind of aged. We actually do have a lot of mods that people have worked on for the game, but what about bringing the game up to Unreal Engine 4? At least, what could the game look like? Well, there was a really cool video that someone had sent over to check out, and we'll take a look here. This was posted up on YouTube by Smack Talks, and they say this WWF No Mercy, WWE No Mercy remastered prototype is part of a learning project I created in Unreal Engine that gives a glimpse of how the game could look if it were to get remastered. They say to try and keep the style of the original, I decided to recreate the original menu overlays in high definition rather than modernizing the menu, as I felt the modern overlay I planned to use took away a lot of the nostalgia. You know what? I would really like to see a No Mercy remaster or remake, I guess you could say there. I think that would be awesome. And I mean, I don't expect them necessarily to move it up to Unreal Engine and remake the whole thing, but even a remaster would be pretty cool. I know there's a lot that comes down to licensing and likenesses for different characters and logos and all of this, but that, or I think Here Comes the Pain, if they had to pick one, either one of those would be really cool to see brought up on current platforms. This kind of release, whether it's a standalone game or maybe just a pre-order bonus or maybe part of a special edition. I know these companies like to do that, where they'll tie games to like an $80 to $100 special edition to get you to buy that. But No Mercy would be awesome to have now with online multiplayer, the whole thing. And this is just a prototype. It's not in active development, but it does give you a glimpse as to what could be with some of these older N64 wrestling games brought up now in the current times. And before we go to the comment of the day or tail of the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, what did you think of Nintendo Indie World today? 20% said it was good. I liked most of what was shown. 59% said it was okay. I liked a game or two. And then 21% said it was bad. I didn't like anything that was shown. I do wonder how different this poll would be if the closeout was Silksong, or if they were like, hey, Silksong, it's available right now, go pick it up. I feel like this poll, just based on a lot of people's comments around being kind of disappointed that it wasn't there, I feel like this poll would be skewed a bit more towards the I really enjoyed it, or it was okay, and not a lot of people would say it was bad. And that's kind of the thing with indie games. You don't really know what you're going to get, and a lot of times it's kind of scattered with different genres thrown in, but I think it was pretty good. They had a lot there. Again, minus Sports Story, Hollow Knight, and Ninja Turtles. And speaking of which, let's finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Seth saying, it's funny how TMNT used to be a big anticipated series and now it's an indie series. Well, I mean, back then on like the Super Nintendo or the Genesis, where we had Turtles in Time and Hyperstone Heist, these kind of games I think worked better just because of the visual style of like the 16-bit era. And now we see games that have ballooned in budget, and I feel like if we took a TMNT game like this and it had to have this massive budget, you would see these bigger publishers and developers, I think, overthink things a bit here, feel like they have to jam all this unnecessary stuff in. And I actually like the idea of Shredder's Revenge because it's a simpler game, right? It's like the old days where we had Turtles in Time. I don't need the TMNT game to be this massive thing with a huge skill tree and big open world. I like the idea of just sitting down, playing a Ninja Turtles beat-em-up style game where you and a couple friends go through levels and just beat up all the bad guys and finish it in, honestly, like a couple of hours. Those are the games that I do understand fall more under the indie line of things there, but I think that's perfectly fine for what we're seeing here with Shredder's Revenge. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike, leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the Nintendo Indie World presentation? What'd you think of it? What was your favorite game there? Let me know about that. And then also, what about Halo Infinite? Seeing a classification now in Australia for not only the multiplayer, but also the campaign. And finally, what about WWF No Mercy? Do you have fond memories of that game? And would you like to see it remastered now for current consoles? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.